I don't know about you, but I get claustrophobic just looking at interior images of the Titan tin can. It appears to have no chairs, and if you wanted to stand up, you couldn't. Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. You might think it's strange that a true crime channel is covering this. Well, I have actually also covered the 96 Everest disaster, as well as the 2008 climbing disaster on K2. This channel also covers missing persons cases, and this is nothing other than that, a missing persons search. And one does wonder whether there is going to be a legal aspect to it, legal or even criminal accountability. All of those questions, however, need to be put aside, because what needs to happen now is the priority needs to be find this vessel ASAP. You know, if there are lives to be saved, well, then every second counts. Every second counts, so scramble all of your resources. The problem is it is in such a specialized space, very, very deep underwater, that there are very, very few other craft that, if they wanted to rescue it, could rescue it. And that is what makes this so horrifying, fascinating, complicated, and, just scary. Something else scary about this thing is that it's a submersible powered by a game controller. I'm not kidding. And it's been adrift now for, 25 hours. And we have no idea where the crew are or even how they are. It's not clear whether the submersible is floating or at the bottom of the North Atlantic, somewhere in the dark, somewhere near the Titanic. And because there's so much uncertainty, it just really, the odds against a happy ending here are not terribly high, unfortunately. So let's go through the situation as it stands now. First of all, the where is, again, it's not a really good situation. It's very, very remote. It's almost 4,000 meters, 12,000 feet below the ocean surface. There are very few people who've got the capability to go there, right? It's almost like trying to rescue someone on the summit of Everest. You don't just get into a helicopter. It's difficult. So the location is approximately 435 miles off the coast of St. John's, Newfoundland, and the search currently involves ships and a C-130 aircraft from America and Canada. So you basically have those two countries mounting the search, and they're looking for clues on the water surface and then up to about 13,000 feet below. So it's not even a one-dimensional search. They're searching through huge cubic volumes of water, seawater. The U.S. Coast Guard is leading the operation, and it's currently based, as I say, about 900 miles east of Cape Cod, and the Canadian authorities are assisting them. If you're interested in my in-depth coverage of this particular search and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. If you're enjoying this episode, please like, share, leave a comment. You can also hit the thanks button, and let's get started. So the Titan is fitted with a safety mechanism. Once deployed, it allows the crew to very slowly drift back to the surface. So even if they, are trying to sort of save themselves, and it's possible that that safety mechanism has been deployed, it might take quite a long time just to simply get back to the surface, and let's hope that that is the case. Ocean Gate Expeditions, the company in charge of this operation, lost contact with the submersible on Monday. It's basically been in the dark, probably underwater, for over 24 hours now. One wonders if anyone is alive, what sort of state of mind they're in. That is another thing that makes it very difficult, is we have absolutely no communication with the crew. If I was involved in the search, I would really want to see the logs for what has happened, what were the last communications. That's really where you want to start, is what was said last, and where was the craft last when it was last in contact. For me personally, it would be very tough to ride in a vehicle like that even alone. Someone just said, just spend 24 hours in this space by yourself, or with a single pilot. It would be really tough to want to do that. I mean, imagine spending several days and nights locked inside an almost windowless pipe with 5 other people, and then tons of dark water between yourself and the surface, and ultimately survival. Because the crew are in a race against time, the fate of the Titan has caught the public's imagination. Some are making jokes, some are investigating, some are simply waiting for news with bated breath. As I mentioned earlier, because of the specialized situation, you can't just get any old submarine. Submarines aren't really built for these sort of depths, including NATO submarines. And so you can't just get any old submarine and then go looking for this craft, and this craft isn't a submarine itself, it's a submersible. Submersibles are powered by equipment on board a ship, as I understand it. And that is what is sort of broken loose. Now, one thing, just looking very casually at this craft, it seems to have 2 very small propellers on either side of it. And they seem, as far as I can see, very dinky. And if something got lodged or stuck into that propeller, even something like a plastic bottle or some kind of litter or something, one can imagine that alone would be quite difficult to sort out. It's not the structure itself seems to be fairly, substantial and fairly well constructed. Someone has pointed out as well that the doorway hinge doesn't seem very solid. And bear in mind, what you're doing is you're going into this rounded container that has got to resist crushing pressures. So you can't just, even if you, let's say, threw a car down there, the car would basically implode because of its very thin exterior. And that is why the Titanic itself is in that sort of crushed appearance all the way down at the bottom of the North Atlantic. So what makes this search difficult is it's remote in terms of just the setting is extremely remote. It's a very far away in all directions to get there. Once you're there, then it's remote from the surface to the ocean bottom. So that's also, you're not at the end of your journey then. And then also you don't have any idea where. Is it near the top of the water column? Is it on the surface? Is it near the bottom of the water column, or is it on the ground? You've got no idea exactly where to search. The good news is, at the request of the French president, a French ship named Atalante is diverting to the area and is supposed to reach the area tomorrow night, so in about 24 hours, Wednesday night. That ship, the Atalante, has an exploration robot that can dive up to 4,000 meters. And so that is one glimmer of hope in this not terribly bright situation. The other thing that is taking place is Canadian aircraft have been dropping sonar buoys into the water that can pick up sound. And so if the submersible is functioning, if it's moving, if the people inside are sort of knocking against the hull, then if they're making a sound, that's one of the ways that they can be located. And so let's hope that is going to happen in this case. So I'm not going to take it further than that, but if there is further news, I will obviously let you guys know. Let's hold thumbs for a positive outcome for the 5 people on board. And I think maybe it's worth mentioning them. The 5 people are the British aviation billionaire Hamish Harding, Pakistani billionaire Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman. So there's quite a young kid on board. And then French explorer Paul-Henri Narguillet, and then Stockton Rush, the founder and CEO of OceanGate, and then also the Titan's operator. At this point, I don't know what his name is, but he's the 5th passenger on board. And so one hopes that they'll keeping the faith, and holding on if the structure around them is as well. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.